host, Antonio. To manipulate history is to manipulate consciousness. And to manipulate consciousness is to manipulate possibilities. And to manipulate possibilities is to manipulate power. Welcome to the show in Cleveland. Here we got the sun shining. That's always a good thing. Ra is blessing us. And grand risings to everyone. I guess people stopped saying good morning because we found out morning they was mocking the slave people and folks that they just killed. And they're saying, and to tease them, they would say good morning because you are mourning for the loss of your folks. So everybody's saying grand risings these days, and I say midday risings in the afternoon. So we got a great show for you today. Just a quick announcement: the African Museum is celebrating Marcus Garvey's birthday. Okay, and that's the 17th, Saturday the 17th. That's from 3 until 6 at the African Museum. And if you don't know where the African Museum is at 1765 Crawford Road. So come on out. They're going to have vendors, reggae music, speaker. If you're interested in vending, you can give them a call at 216-721-6555. 721-6555. So great show for you today. I got one of my teachers, you're going to hear him talk about it, when we get into the holistic health business. So I got one of my teachers come on today, so you want to stay tuned. But in the remote studio, we got our main man, Brother Vince. What's going on, Vince?
I'm in the remote studio today, and the remote studio is at the Cleveland Heights Library because of the fact that my internet has been down for 4 years. I'm going to go ahead and blame it on the Mercury retrograde. Mercury went retrograde last Saturday, and we've been dealing with the throes of it. And if you don't believe me, the evidence of that is the power outages and internet interruptions and all the other things that are going on right now. So trust and believe the planets are affecting us. But we're here. I don't have any light, so I'm looking like a raisin in the sun, but it's okay. Y'all know who I am, and I'm still good. So anyway, I just wanted to mention real quickly, Brother Antonio, I'm going to be doing my show that I did in the Borderlight Festival. I'm going to be doing it tomorrow evening at Larchmere Arts. It is called Unmasked: Navigating a New World Order. And part of my performance will be paying a tribute to Winston Willis, who you may know or may not know, he had 28 businesses that were destroyed by the authorities here in Cleveland. He put a lot of Black people to work. I mean, he was an economic engine in and of himself, and he did a great deal for brothers and sisters in the city. And it's really sad that they took what they did away from him, because he was just a down brother. He spoke to authority. His story is something that needs to be told, and we're going to tell that story. So tomorrow evening at Larchmere Arts at 7 o'clock, we're going to have a little food. We're going to have a little vino. I'm not going to do too much advertising about that, but we'll have an adult beverage or two for folks, and you can come through and enjoy some poetry, some music, and I guess maybe see me in a way that you haven't seen before, because I do poetry, and sometimes it's just a couple of poems here and there. But tomorrow is the big throwdown. So want y'all to come through. It's $15, but as I said, there's food and drink, and I promise you'll have a good time. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, our guest here. No.
We do not have your guest, but his guests are here.
Okay, we'll wait. I just wanted to speak on that issue, and that seems to be something that is prevalent throughout our past, and it might be still going on to today. I was in some conversations about Blacks in this particular country, and what you just said is there's something that happened localized that we can really look back and see that what is happening. And when we go across the country, you see those things happening where cities are being covered with lakes and property being destroyed and things of that nature, and this is something local that for folks who's in our peer group and can look back and see, like, dang, yeah, this brother had it going on like that, and how the powers that be plant to conspire to get rid of this brother's business for one reason and another. Could have been because of the whole Cleveland Clinic situation of trying to get rid of him. So it's something that we need to really take note of. And then when we get to talking about um, staying in this country and doing some things like that, the question arises is that will they let those businesses stand? If we was to go and want to take our own city and do some things, would the folks leave us alone? And be all right with black folks flourishing and taking care of their own businesses and things like that. Will they leave you alone to your own devices and let you prosper? That's the question that we need to ask ourselves.
Yeah, it's really amazing. There's so much evidence out there about how they did the best that they could to conceal Black success.
Mm-hmm.
There are lakes in this city, I mean, in this country, that
Mm-hmm.
just washed over everything to destroy the evidence,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sadly. And something
Absolutely.
that's in the film that I did, because there's a film that's going to be a part of the performance, I
Mm-hmm.
talk about how Central Park used to be a place for Black folk.
Mm-hmm.
Seneca Village is what it was, and that's where we were. And then they just pushed us out, same thing.
So it's like downtown Cleveland. Black
Yeah,
folks settled in downtown Cleveland around Terminal Tower and all of that. They push you on out the way. You know what I mean?
yes,
Mhm.
yes. So the
Absolutely.
long and the short of it is, come on through this evening and witness that film. It's a 5-minute film. It's a short film, but what I'll be doing is playing music behind the film, and you'll be able to hear the poem that is the narration to the film. It's a very powerful message, and I'm really glad to bring it to Cleveland. It looks like we have been joined by your guest, Jonathan Butler, and I think he's getting his camera together because right now we don't see him, but we can see his name. So,
Mhm.
again, there we go. There we go. I was trying to get him to use landscape mode, but
Oh, which mode is that?
Just turn,
well,
when you turn
you're in
sideways.
portrait mode right now.
There
So
you go.
there you go.
Oh,
All right.
y'all got high tech on me.
Yeah, well, we're doing the best that we can, and you're looking good there, brother.
Oh, thank you. But this is actually my clone. I'm
That's
still
your
asleep.
clone.
I'm still
Okay.
asleep.
Okay. You got Tyrone working for you today.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, Lynn.
Yeah, all right, my brother. Yeah. Well, you guys might know this brother. He really set itself up well up in Cleveland and helped a lot of people, as far as holistic health is concerned, and I consider him, one of my teachers as well.
About
Uh,
time.
he also tried to be a comedian on the side as well. And so, but he's a good brother. He's been like we have other scholars on the show that's been working behind the scenes on the fight of our history and telling our story. And I would say he's been working, behind the scenes and really trying to get us in good health. I quote a lot of things that he's has talked to me about and schooled me about and making me understand the whole ideology of holistic health, and something that I take from him and I say all the time, you got to, not only heal the physical man, but you got to heal the mental and the spiritual man as well. And I took that to heart and to great understanding and understanding this whole thing spiritually, like these three are one. You all have to work together in order to abstain and create good health. So this was one of my teachers. He was the owner and proprietor of the Inner You. Now he's in California still and doing his thing. And we want to talk to him about some of the things that he's working on now, because he usually comes up with some good products to help as far as health is concerned. And I can say right now he's on track right now for bringing in some good information that you might want to hear. So my good friend for a long time, and I guess he still claims Cleveland as his hometown, hometown protege, brother John Butler, Dr. John Butler. How you doing, my good brother?
I'm doing well, thank you. And Vince, before we even get remotely into this, words are very powerful, and we use them to cast spells, and we've been taught that to cast spells on each other. And if you listen at the language Lynn was just using, he said a very key word right there that has a lot of depth, a lot of significance, and a lot of power behind. And in some cases, frustration. He used the word make. He said, I used to make him understand this because he's hard headed. He's hard headed. I'm still trying to make him understand. Make him understand that if you green on the inside, you clean on the inside. But anyway, that's not a subject matter for today. But
Oh,
thank you
and
guys for having me on this show.
to use your word, he has to understand and
Yes, so that he
overstand.
can overstand it, right? Because you can't
Exactly.
overstand anything if you're still standing under it.
Right.
And you have to become it. That's why when you were talking on a serious note, when you were saying about, we being able to go and do this and do our own thing. Listen, if there's no enemy on the inside, the one on the outside can't hurt you. So now if I'm of the mindset that somebody else or Mr. Charlie or somebody has control over me, then that means I'd have forgot who I am, whose I am, and the purpose in which I was created. So therefore, I didn't already gave my power over to another individual or to a system or whatever, and it's causing me to react to the power that I gave it versus it responding to me based on my level of consciousness, knowing that I'm one with the source that made it all.
Hmm.
I understand. I hear you. You around there talking all
Well,
that. All right, mister. Y'all gonna have to excuse this show because me and him gonna be going back and forth, jugging each other. We always do that. So that's all right. That's my guy. So my good brother.
yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you want to bring us up to date on what you've been doing and what you've been working on and why, you decided to pursue this path that you're in right now?
Well, I mean, the path is the path that I've been on, ever since I started this journey. And that was I always found myself on the cutting edge. And I would always found myself bringing some insight or bringing some modalities to the table that what some would consider cutting edge or some consider strange or whatever because it was not accepted by the masses. Uh, but nonetheless, I want to speak to you from an astrological place for a half a second, just from the planet Uranus, if you will. If you know anything about the planet Uranus, it's about coming out of left field like a bolt of lightning, and it's coming to empower the people. It's always about raising the people from some corner or some space outside of the norm, some unusual way, if I can say it that way. And so what we're talking about today is a product that I literally can feel and have all of this Uranian energy around it, and it's nanotechnology. And we've known that nanotechnology was coming. It's been out there using it in several other industries already, but it has now come into the wellness industry. And I just happen to have the only uh, product that's where the nano, and when I say nano, because you go to this health food store, you may see nano silver or nano gold or something like that. Um, and it has been nano sized. But what I'm speaking of, I'm talking about less than 10 nanometers, actually probably less than 7 or 6 nanometers. And to put that into some type of perspective, if you ever sat down in the living room and you saw a dining room and you saw the sun, especially at your house, Lynn, you sit down and you look and the sun is coming through and you look sideways at an angle and you see the little dust particles in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Um, did you catch that, especially at your house?
Yeah.
Uh, and those are nanoparticles. You don't really see them until some sunlight hit them. But we're actually talking about particles like that, and actually smaller. And so when you see these particles, or when you have a nano size of a nanometer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, that means that those particles are small enough to move directly into the mitochondria of a cell. So what I'm talking about today is actually having a product that has, and I'll go into it, that's been encapsulated by water. And then you say, well, and it's a CBD and a CBG blend with 90 different minerals, adaptogens, some would call some nutraceuticals, but they're all infused and encapsulated by water. And the key word is encapsulated. Like, how do you get water to encapsulate? You can pretty much infuse water with something, blend water with something. And I'm sure the fact that I said oil, you say, well, wait a minute, oil and water doesn't mix. It don't. But when you nano size the oil down to these 3 and 4 nanometers, it now can move right into, or now it's encapsulated by water. And understanding that the brain is 80% water, the body is 75% water in one school of thought, and another school of thought is vice versa. So either way, the body is predominantly water. And so what this company has been able to do was take all of these minerals that we need on a daily basis, with all of the adaptogenic herbs, and we'll go into some of those for you, and encapsulate it in water. So the moment you take a capful and swish it around in your mouth for about 35-40 seconds, those 95 nutrients move through all 32.7 trillion cells in the human body in a matter of seconds. And you can actually begin to feel this. And those of you that's into energy medicine or very much it's tuned to your physical bodies, you can actually feel uh, this process taking place. A lot of people associate that initial experience with, wait, a light bulb just went off in my head. Or wait, I felt something vibrating in my head. And I know Wayne, Dr. Chandler, he says, man, feel my pituitary gland throbbing. He said, he said, my pineal gland and my pituitary feel like they're talking. It's like, well, that's what happens when you turn up the cellular communication. All these organs and glands begin to communicate with each other, and they begin to function like they were intended to function. The challenge is we haven't been able to receive nutrients at that level since we were in our mother's womb. That's the time that the embryo was growing the fastest. And so now fast forwarding it, when we have Pluto is doing its thing and Uranus is doing its thing, giving humanity an opportunity to rise above the medical mafia and all the constraints that have been placed on us uh, consciously and unconsciously. Now we're now getting a reboot so that we can step into the power consciously of who we are and take final authority over the dis-ease that we've created in the body. And when I say dis-ease, I'm literally saying dis and ease, because every known disease known to man comes from inflammation.
Okay.
And we're able to go with the CBD and CBG and connect with all the endocannabinoid receptors in the body, like a key, and turn them off. And then the body immediately began to decrease and minimize to the point where there's no inflammation left in that particular part of the body. And that's when you begin to experience the wonderful power of what we're talking about today.
Mhm.
I'm going
Mhm.
to take
Well,
a
let me give you a question, John. That's a question then. On that, and so because you got a lot of supplements out here, and people taking a lot of supplements, pills, and things like that. What's the difference, and why this system would
well,
tend to work for you?
Well, here's the deal, and this is where Dr. Frankenstein wasn't wrong when, and we've all been told, when we go and tell, well, those that go to uh, the doctors, I'm taking supplements, I'm taking vitamins. He says, well, you have expensive urine. Well, the one thing that he did get right from medical schools is understanding the molecular structure of these substances. We don't have the ability to assimilate 100% of the vitamins. At best, you may get 12 to 15%. And that's when you're literally spending an arm and a leg for a supplement. And you're only going to absorb about maybe 10 to 12, 15% of it. In most cases, you're only getting 5%. And in some cases, you're not even getting that. And so someone asked me, she says, well, I've been getting my supplements from my nutrition from food. And I say, no, you've been getting a percentage of it for food. This whole thing that we call old age or aging process is a glorified word for developing a disease. Because think about it, and I'm actually watching this begin to start to go away now, the little grays here, because gray hair is a copper deficiency. Um, you increase the copper and your hair go back to its original color. Um, you put the right magnesium and the right amount of magnesium in the body, and your calcification in your joints begin to diminish, what they're calling chronic or rheumatoid arthritis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You get inflammation around the heart, you have heart disease, you get inflammation around your colon, you have irritable bowel, Crohn's, et cetera, et cetera. For every disease is stimulated by inflammation on the physical level. And you actually started the show, and I'm not going to deviate over there just yet, but talking about the metaphysical aspect of who we are, and the things happen on an energetic level, and on an, which is an emotional level, which energy and motion is what we call emotion. So we begin to unconsciously create with our emotional responses, and when we do that, we're actually creating inflammation in our energetic field, which then allows us to have emotional charges in different parts of our body, and that inflammation now manifests in those particular areas of body, and that's where the disease comes in at. And how come with this system is so unique that way, or how come we're wired that way? Because we're made in the image and likeness of God. We've been conditioned, we've been given the tools to have an understanding, so we can understand that uh, no weapon formed against us can prosper. Why? Unless the enemy or the weapon is within us. Uh, as a man thinketh in his or her heart, so is he. But I'm thinking with my feelings, and my emotions are not lining up with who I am spiritually. So I'm going to create chaos. That's why I talk about, when you have a disease, that means that pretty much you've been watching uh, a little one too many episodes of the Three Stooges. And you say, well, why you say the Three Stooges? Because Larry, Curly, and Moe, they represent three very dynamic principles. Larry, Curly, and Moe represent fear, worry, and doubt. When you put fear, worry, and doubt, when you allow that energy to dominate your thought process, it creates chaos. So you create chaos in your mental, which causes a separation from you and who your divine self is. And so it puts you not in the seat of the observer, but in the seat of the reactor, and you're reacting to the energy that you're putting out in the field. Where your observer is here waiting for you to just wake up and remember who you are, so you can get back into that position, observe how you're processing that energy, and then go in and make the necessary corrections. And then once you make those corrections between your heart and your brain, then your environment will do the same. And you can use that, man.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Hold on, let me finish writing that down.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can use that.
I get, I get.
Vince, it looks like you stirring up some serious questions over there. I'm looking behind my
Well,
glasses.
yeah, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm
Mm,
connecting the dots between fear, worry, and doubt, and the way we're being manipulated through the political process. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but if fear, worry, and doubt are causing all those emotional issues, then I'm seeing why they would want to keep us in that place, because it enables them to keep us under control and away from the divine power that we have within ourselves, because we're
mm,
living in that place of fear, worry, and doubt.
mm,
And
Right.
then
So
the inflammation part of it, that's the thing that I want to get to, the inflammation, because the chronic inflammation is the source of most of the pain and suffering that exists in our population in this country.
well, what does the acronym SIN represent?
Sand.
Sin. Since the scriptures say we were born in sin, shaped in iniquity. What does sin mean? What do the acronyms stand for?
You just said it. Sheer shaped in iniquity.
Yeah, I can't use the same word to define it.
I'm gonna let you give us a definition, brother, because I'm not as gifted as you when it comes to that.
Well, sin is the acronyms for self-inflicted nonsense.
mm,
Self-inflicted nonsense that I absorbed and was imprinted on from my immediate family, then extending out to my environment, my neighborhood, then extended out to the educational system that I was indoctrinated by, and then extended out into the various forms of religiosity for whatever religion that we went into. So by the time you're 16 or actually 13, you've already been indoctrinated with a system to self-destruct.
Mhm. See, yeah, well, that's why I kind of like Eastern philosophy, because they understand those connections, and I think that's where we are trailing and behind, far as the West is concerned, of understanding. But the whole thing about energy and emotions and how it affects the body, I don't think we operate on those levels. But what I want to do right now,
Let me ask a quick question before you go there.
okay,
Those are artifacts behind you, right?
yeah,
What origin are they from?
and most of them from Africa.
But yet and still you go and say you resonate with the Eastern philosophy. Where do you think the Eastern philosophy got their philosophy from?
The Eastern philosophy got their philosophy from the East.
Africa.
Thank
Africa.
you, Vince.
Well,
Thank you.
when I say Eastern,
Thank
that's
you.
what I'm talking about.
No, no, no. You have to be clear. We have a radio audience out here listening, and we have varying levels of teachable. Okay.
Whatever, man. Anyway, I want to switch the gears to this this new product that you're wearing, because I think we have some people that might want to talk about it as well. And so this new product that you're working with,
Well,
tell us a
actually,
little bit about
it's not new. And
it.
for the entrepreneurs that's out there listening in the radio audience, keen in on what I'm about to say. It's not new. It's actually the company started about 6 years ago, and they started in Germany.
Hmm.
Well, they started in Europe, but Germany, and then it branched out. So it's in several European countries, and it's out there for about 5 years there. And it actually manifested here in 2019. But there was a challenge with it because, and just having ear to hear, uh, our country did not want any products that had natural metformin in them.
Okay.
And so natural metformin is actually in this product. And
Hmm.
so, which is berberine. And so, but by the time they allowed it to come here, they looked at the ingenuity and the technology behind it and realized, oh well, there's not enough in there to do anything. Well, they didn't have the wisdom to understand, so they could overstand the fact that nano is changing the world. And when you nanosize nutrients, that means that they can go directly into the mitochondria of every cell that makes up the human body.
Hmm.
And there's a mitochondria blend that's specifically set up for the mitochondria to produce this ATP and to rejuvenate those cells and communicate with each other. So we can now begin to have those telomeres begin to grow, stem cells begin to become infused. And then the body began to go through what we call the reverse aging process. If you remember in my early days, one of the lectures I taught on very extensively is that there's no such thing as an incurable disease. You just
Hmm.
have incurable people. And those are people who don't believe and know. And here I said that believe first and then move into knowing that they can turn it around.
Hmm.
Because belief is the step towards knowing. The power
Hmm.
is in the knowing, not in the believing.
Right, right. So what is
So,
what? Go ahead. So what's some of the positive reactions that you
well,
got?
I will get there, but
Mm-hmm.
if I can't get you, and I know it's always been a challenge for me to get you to understand some things. So, if I can get you to get this, I'm sure the radio audience will get this. So if I'm able to take 95
Mm-hmm.
nutrients that the body needs to not only function and thrive, but to reverse any condition that it has. If I'm able to put those nutrients in the mitochondria of all 32.7 cells, what's going to happen with the body?
It's going to respond. It's going to heal itself. It's going to do what it's supposed to
What it
do.
was intended to do.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You get a scratch, your body automatically knows to send work through the lymphatic fluid and create a scab and send those enzymes over there and whatever nutrients is necessary and begin to heal the skin. Well, and that's on a very surface level. And I'm talking about deep, 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 deep healing, deep regeneration. And I think, well, I'm trying to figure out should I have them come on and speak their piece, or hold off for a moment. Um, no, I think we'll do that. We'll open up the lines, hear that, and then I will bring how it all connects together because I
Yeah,
think
because
that'll be a
I
good.
want them to get on the first
Yeah,
hour of the show
yeah.
while we're
Yep.
on the, before we
Right.
go into the internet portion of
Right.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a couple of guests in our staging area, Salisa Harmon and Sean Roberts, and we also have looks like Brother D, but we can't see Salisa and we can't see Sean. Sean says she's moving around. If it's a she, I don't know. I could be wrong about
Yeah,
that.
that's for she. And then
Okay.
Elisa Hernandez should be out there because she's actually in Florida right now, so she should be
Okay.
there.
It would be helpful for our viewing audience to be able to see the guests. And I think it would also go a long way towards demonstrating the efficacy of the products that you have, because we can see the smiling faces, the light beaming from them as they describe the benefits of the products that you have created for them. So we want to encourage them. I know you're moving around, but we'd like to see your faces. So definitely. Definitely. And while we're on this point, if you are tuned in on Facebook or YouTube, please subscribe to our channels. You can subscribe to The Journey with Antonio, and you'll get notifications whenever we do programming. You can also subscribe to my channel. It will be helpful to all of us. So we want to encourage you to do that. Uh, we will continue, and if you want me to, I will bring Sean into the room, whether we see her or not. Sean, you'll
Okay.
have to unmute your microphone, and we'll bring you into the conversation. Sean, you got to unmute, and dead air is the enemy of radio. Unmute your microphone.
I
There you
heard
go.
you. I told you I was moving around.
That's okay.
First of all, good morning, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about this particular product. Um, I will say that uh, Jonathan reached out to me, particularly to look at this product for my dad, and something possibly of interest to myself. My dad is dealing with a number of health challenges right now. And so I went ahead and ordered it. He gave me a bunch of videos, and I said, well, this actually looks kind of interesting. My scientific mind was piqued. I will share that my background is in chemistry, so it was speaking to my chemical background a bit. And so I went ahead and ordered it. Um, I gave it to my dad. For myself, I ordered another product called Trim, which is something that is uh, advertised as assisting with weight loss. And so when I took the Trim, immediately I felt like a tingling sensation, like around my cranium. Like I couldn't describe it, and I was like, "What in the world?" And I've never felt that kind of tingling sensation before. Um, and I will say that I slept better that night. I've had some challenges sleeping for a number of years, and that was the first night that I actually slept through the night with more than 5 hours of sleep. My dad, on the other hand, he took the product, both the Swish and the Ageless, and which are also products I've taken myself. With him, I noticed that as a byproduct for him, because he did not take the Trim, he did start to lose some weight. He has some challenges with retaining water due to lymphedema, and also uh, not frequenting the need to go to the restroom as much. Um, and I won't say it was like a pep in his step because I know it's a process. However, what I will say is that was something I noticed immediately, at least with him. And I told him to keep track of what it was that he was feeling and experiencing, and understand that both he and I have only been using this product for a week. As a result, I had to order some more. But because I want to continue to keep using this product. I'd like how I feel in terms of um, I'm noticing that I feel a lot calmer. Um, and like I said, I'm sleeping a lot better versus if it happens to be a situation where I miss because I'm putting around or doing, there's a difference. I have noticed that my sleeping kind of returns back slowly to what it was doing before, which is barely sleeping. So I absolutely love this product. I didn't know what to expect, but I'm glad that I had the opportunity to try it.
I Sean, I want you to elaborate on why you had to take your dad to the ER. Very important for this audience. Very important.
Okay, so I had to take my dad to the ER because there was a space in which he was
Or
not.
let me correct that. I'm sorry. Why you
Oh,
thought you had to take your dad to the ER? Let me put it in perspective.
you really want to do that? Okay.
Yeah, well, you did it, but it was the right thing in your mind to do. So
Yes.
share that because it's very, very key for this platform.
Okay. So I had to take my dad to the ER due to low blood pressure. Um, it was a situation in which I do know that he has he is taking blood pressure medication. Uh,
And how
they
long has he been taking blood pressure medicine?
Oh, now that I'm not sure because I'm just now getting into his medical stuff. So
Okay,
it probably was before
okay,
prior to. I, I'm at least aware of it for, I would say, the last 2 years, but I would venture to say it's probably been longer. Uh, but what I will say is taking him to the ER to get his blood pressure stabilized because it was actually lower than normal um, for at least for his because he was lethargic. They were able to get him stabilized, and he was home same day. I would say within a couple of hours. But prior to that, when he was taking, and that happened in the midst of a break of taking the product, the Sealy.
hmm
Um, Prior to that, his blood pressure actually maintained a normal level for a week.
How long he
And
had been on the product?
that was only within, at that point, 3 days.
3 days. Make a mental note of that, Lynn. 3 days of being on the product. His blood pressure went below normal. And what did the doctors do once
Uh,
they?
I think what they did was they basically they didn't do need to do the normal interventions, and in that case, I would say is like they give him fluids, and the whole that has been what has happened in the past. At this trip that we took to the ER, this particular doctor did not feel the need to give him fluids. They just kind of let him rest, and they did some blood work, and his blood work came back. Everything was pretty much normal.
Right. And so what did they do with his prescription for his blood pressure medicine?
So for his prescription for his blood pressure medication, he is it was originally halved because they were going to reintroduce some other medication. The doctor has chosen not to go down that path. So he's still on just the one that he's supposed to take, but prior to that, he was actually taking, I think, about three.
Right. So let me sum that up. So basically, what happened after introducing these 95 minerals, and nutraceuticals and adaptogens to the body. His body started to reprogram itself and I'll touch on the glyconutrients because that's something very, very key about this. But it began to regulate his blood pressure to the point that his medicine he was taking was causing him to get lightheaded and dizzy. That's why she took him to the doctor, and so he's on half of dose or whatever he was taking. And now that he's back on his product, it's just a matter of a few more days, weeks, if you want to extend it out, that he will find, and the doctor will find that there's no need for him to be on blood pressure medicine at all. And I'm glad I wanted to have you hone in on that because high blood pressure is a major, major challenge um, in this country and especially in our community. So, and there is a ram in the bush for it. There is for those that have an ear to hear. There's a ram in the bush for it because again, you're able to feed the body what it needs so it can repair itself. And it was just a matter of 3 or 4 days of him introducing this type of nutrient to his body and having the cellular uptake at the level in which he did, his blood pressure began to um, normalize. I've said it before and I'll always say it. We don't have a pharmaceutical deficiency. So your body is not deficient in any medication. But according to Eli Lilly, who's one of the largest drug companies in the world, they say in order for a substance to be classified as a drug, it has to stop a minimum of 50 enzymatic functions of the body. Get that. It has to stop a minimum of 50 naturally occurring enzymatic functions of the body. So that means the creator has a minimum of 50 different uh, enzymatic activities to keep your body thriving and keep it moving. But in order for the pharmaceutical, which if you look up the word pharmaceutical in the Greek is pharmakia, and if you look that word up in the Greek, it says to practice sorcery or witchcraft. So in order for your the sorcery or the witchcraft of the medical mafia to work, it has to stop a minimum of 50 enzymatic activities that the creator naturally put in order to keep you and protect you. So this is why we have the side effects. And this is why taking one medication will set you up, as Dr. Lila Africa would say, to have another problem and then another problem and another problem until you sitting in the doorsteps of the dialysis machine. But this is the game that's played on all Americans for those that participate in that system. And I understand we allow fear to drive us over there. And let me clarify this. Am I saying that the entire medical model is set up to kill us? Am I saying that doctors and nurses go into the profession to hurt us or harm us? No, I really believe, and I have some colleagues that are in the medical field, doctors, nurses as well. I thoroughly believe that they actually want to help people. But once they go into that system, there's a certain protocol that they have to follow if they want that system to give them a certain lifestyle. So then they caught between a rock and a hard place, except for those that branch out and start their own practices. And then you find those guys hanging out in what's called integrative platforms or integrative practices because they're working the best of that and the best of the wellness, and they're coming together to try to create a space for you to reclaim your power and your vitality again. So kudos for all those in the medical industry that's literally trying to really support and help us understand how we created these problems and how to overcome them. So thank you, Sean, for that.
Yeah, thank you, Sean, for coming on.
You're welcome.
All right, John, did you have somebody else that was
There
you
was
know,
several people, but I'm in California. They're different places. So
Vince? Do we
is
have
Elisa is
someone?
Elisa out there?
Yeah, Salisa is
No,
there, and
Elisa.
oh,
Elisa.
Alisa. I don't see an Alisa. I see Sulesa
Okay, well,
Harmon.
we can bring Miss Harmon in. Elisa's at a
Okay.
convention at ACN, and she says she's going to step out for this because it was very important for her to share her piece. And if she doesn't show up, I'll share it. So go right ahead, Salisa.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna add her to the stage, and thank you for allowing us the privilege of seeing you. We were seeing, yeah. Now we got you. Unmute your microphone.
She's in Cleveland with you guys.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, you went back to mute. There you go.
Okay. Okay. So I started this product maybe a month ago.
Mhm.
And what I noticed was more energy and deeper rest, deeper sleep. I love the product. It's really simple to take, and I can't believe it's like water, but it's very powerful.
Mm. Okay. From
So,
Annette.
so Lisa has made a point, and then we also heard Sean make light of it as well. Uh, so, Lisa, on a scale 1 to 10, how would you say your sleep patterns were prior to taking this product?
Oh my goodness, horrible. I'm gonna say 8 or 9, just because I'm up and thinking all the time, and just really hard to settle down. Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of that has to do with you being Aries, but nonetheless, uh,
All right,
the
now, don't
thought
get on the
processes,
Aries.
the thought processes, and her ability to sleep. Now, so Lisa took one product, she took another, Sean took another, but they both said something and made reference to sleep. Why is sleep so important, and why did this product allow you to have a deep sleep? Because the body can't heal unless you go to a certain level of sleep. That REM state sleep is where that body literally begins to repair itself. The cells begin to communicate. Uh, the organs begin to communicate. And then they start to network. And so when this process happens, then the body's able to go, oh, I don't have to deal with this anymore. So now I have more energy to do this. I don't have to carry this. So I can do this now. It's a whole inner um, subatomic communication that happens uh, with your cells that's interdependent and interdependent upon each other. And I'm saying cells and then also at the subatomic level because the energy that they resonate as well. Um, and so, man, I use that word. Uh, so that's why everybody across the board will begin to experience a deeper, more refreshing, more energizing form of sleep because it allows you to go to that place where the body can regenerate itself. I mean, that's why we're supposed to sleep anyway. Um, the other thing, Salisa, I think you said that your boyfriend said that you no longer snored anymore. And you go, well, wait a minute. Well, what does snoring have to do with it? Well, you got all of this snoring from the foods that we eat, and then the breathing passages are blocked up from the gluten from certain breads and certain pastas, et cetera, et cetera. You go, well, wait a minute. Yeah, it's impeding your air intake. And so what happens, it goes in and immediately clears that right up. Immediately clears that right up. I mean, before I go into anything else, Lisa, was there anything else you wanted to say?
That's it.
Okay. Did you say your father had an experience?
Well, he has even more energy than he did before.
And how old is your dad?
85.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
so John, so it's not a mystery. Could we say what these products are, give the names of them so
oh
people
yeah.
know what
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
associate with
I was
what?
just,
Yeah.
yeah, I was,
Okay.
saving it. Um, so what we've been able to do, and I'm just gonna give you
Am I
the
finished?
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Mhm.
I want to give you the range of what I've witnessed. Uh, Tammy is a colleague of mine, and her godmother has rheumatoid arthritis. She's been in a rheumatoid arthritis program for the last 10 years. So that's where she goes into the hospital or to the clinic once a month. They check in, they do her vitals, and they're looking at how fast the body is diminishing. And so they've been monitoring her for 10 years. Well, after taking 95 of these nutrients in one cap, which is equivalent to about a teaspoon, okay, swishing it around in her mouth, within 4 minutes, the rheumatoid arthritis where her hands were like this opened up like this, okay? So you say, well, that's almost impossible. No, if she's been depleted of all her minerals, especially the magnesium, at a cellular level, it's not impossible. It's not impossible because at that point, the body absorbed it like you pour water into a dried up plant quickly, and it went to work. So she was actually relieved from that rheumatoid arthritis. So uh, Tam took her back to the doctor, excited. And so they took blood, and then they wanted to call her back again and take some more blood. Well, after 10 years of being in this program and after a month of being on this product, a month and a half, they told her she was no longer eligible to be into the program because for some reason her body was miraculously, her muscle skeletal system was miraculously regenerating itself. So from that extreme over, and if Elisa comes in, Elisa Hernandez, you can let her come in. She's a registered nurse. All the way from that to autistic children beginning to communicate with their parents and everything in between. We're watching these things happen as we speak. And why are we seeing such magnificent turnarounds in such short period of time? That was 4 days that Alicia's son began to attempt to speak to her. She called me yesterday, or 2 days ago, I'm sorry, and he's only been on the product for now just about 17 days. He used to would take his plate or they would give him his plate in the corner. He likes to sit in the corner and eat. He's 17. He's been autistic, nonverbal since he was the age of 3, after receiving a mumps vaccination. Uh, he now sits at the table with everybody else, and he's interacting at the dinner table with the rest of the family for the first time in his entire life. We're literally witnessing. She's documenting all of these changes on a day-to-day basis. I have another autistic situation where her son he's also nonverbal, but now he's communicating with her. He's have more peace. He's now in control. He's not allowing his environment to stimulate him to lose control. He now sits and communicates, and he's at peace, which is the first time that happened. And he's 28. Go ahead, Steve. I mean,
Yeah, we've
Vince.
got just a few moments before we conclude the radio broadcast, and I want to make sure that we give the listening audience the information as to where they can go to get these products and get the names of those products so we can serve them.
Uh-oh. I was supposed to remember that phone number, wasn't I?
Yeah,
Oh God, I have a phone number for them to call. Salisa has it. Can she type it in to you? Oh, I'll tell
yeah,
you.
she can send it in the
I'll change
private
it. I'll
chat.
change my screen for a second and I'll give it to you. I should have
Okay,
had that written down right here. That number is 925-435-1992. Nine two
okay,
five 435-1992.
okay,
That's actually a line that I set up specifically for this because now we have there's only 26,000 people in the country that knew about this product before I got involved in it. And so we are building a team here in California and moving throughout the country at lightning speed. So we're making sure that um, people are finding out about this product and how they can take accountability and responsibility for turning their health conditions around. These are the two products. These are only two products we're talking about here. This is Ageless, and we'll talk about Ageless in a moment. And this is CBD CBG Swish. And so, you know what I'm going to do? I guess for the first 15 callers, we're going to send you guys a free sample, and this is what a sample looks like. It's 3 days worth, and it's a beautiful package. And so it's
okay.
3 days worth, and within 3 days, um, your body will tell you, have a conversation with you, and you'll never forget that conversation. And I'll say that to say, Lynn, I guess you can at this particular point talk about your experience the other day with what you experienced, and then what you witnessed, your scientific minded brother experienced when you
Okay,
got your switch.
before we do that, because we have about 2.5 minutes before the
Okay,
radio broadcast ends, we must do a disclaimer, and
mhm,
I'm sure you may be versed in that just to protect yourself and to protect us.
absolutely. So you have to say it. I'm not used to saying a disclaimer. Sorry. Because I come from Keep It Real Baptist Church. I'm gonna tell the truth. When this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. So
Okay.
you can do
Well,
the disclaimer for the station.
We're not here to diagnose or just for entertainment purposes. We're not here to diagnose or do anything to say
Wow.
or to discredit your doctors or things of that nature. So
And please
Vince
consult
and
your
I,
medical physician before taking any new products into
you're
your
right.
body.
there you go. All right. Well, with that said, we got just a couple minutes before we conclude the radio broadcast, but we'd like to remind those of you who are listening, if you want to hear this conversation in continuance, you can go to our YouTube channels. You can go to the 360 Info Network Facebook page. You can go to my Facebook page. You got a whole lot of options if you want to listen to 360 Info Network and see it live on YouTube and Facebook. Just another reminder that I will be performing Unmasked, Navigating a New World Order at Larchmere Arts, and that is tomorrow at 7 p.m. So you can just show up. You can bring cash if you want, or you can hit me up on Zelle because Cash App ain't working for a bro right now. So just make sure that you come through tomorrow evening. We also would like to thank our engineer, Tone Harley, for making this broadcast possible today.
Thank you,
We're in
Tone.
Mercury retrograde and we always have issues, but somehow we manage to bring the message to the people, and it's so important. And we'd also, again, like to personally thank our brother Hamtonio for creating this program as he did years ago. This is the longest running radio program on radio in Cleveland right now, and we keep it real. So with all of that said, as always, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, make today your absolute best day. Peace. All right. We are on Facebook and YouTube. And again, if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, because I see we got at least 8 folks that are tuned in right now, go ahead and subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything, doesn't cause you any pain. And if you go to your YouTube channel and check your notifications, you will see that we post the content for your benefit. So please subscribe. The Journey with Antonio, subscribe to Vince Robinson, and Jonathan Butler is going to get a YouTube channel up too. And you'll need to subscribe to that channel so you can get all the latest. John?
Yes, we will have one specifically for this needs its own platform. I don't want to mix it with any of the other subject matters or the products that I have, because literally, Vince, I've replaced pretty much about 95% of all the products that I would use to suggest to the person would take with just these two. Just these two. So that's 90 some products gone because of these two. So it's really, really interesting. Joey, can I get the quick shots? Thanks. Okay, yeah. So I don't know where we're going from here.
Mm-hmm. Hey, again,
well, I wanted to bring up.
Go ahead,
I wanted to bring up something that you mentioned at the top of the show. You were talking about nanoparticles, and you're implementing nanoparticle technology in your product. I watched a video last week that indicated that they put nanoparticles in Pepsi and Coke. And this woman actually put that on a slide, and so you could see it with your own eyes. I'm also reminded, and this, is conspiracy theory. I don't want this to get us taken down because, we said something that might not be accurate or whatever, but there is conversation about the possibility that they may have utilized nanotechnology in the jab juice. So it is a lot more pervasive than we're actually aware of. And if they're putting nanotechnology, okay, I don't know why. I hear you okay. But if they're putting nanotechnology in food, it makes so much sense to use nanotechnology in medication in a way that will benefit you. So yeah, brother John, I can hear you, I can see you. I don't know what's going on your end of things. You just unmuted your microphone.
Can you hear me, Vince? I can't hear you.
Yeah, we hear you.
I can't hear you. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what you asked because I can't hear you guys for some reason.
I don't know. You think maybe if he log in and log back, that might help them
Speaking of
get.
Mercury retrograde, you had to say it, didn't you, Vince? Oh God, how do I do this and I can't hear you?
Yeah. You think, Vince? You think if he log out and log back, maybe?
What should
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
do?
send him a note.
Let me go out and come back in. Can I do that?
That's what I was saying.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, why you saying that? See, and one of the things that I think that's theoretically to where it makes sense, in dealing with things in the cellular level, because that's always been the challenge in medicine, and supplements and things like that, being able to actually, work for you on the cellular level. Like he said, most times and most nutritionists would tell you, well, you just got expensive urine because a lot of the stuff is not being absorbed. I remember listening to a few doctors, even when they decide to give you medicine, they give you enough of it, to make sure that there's enough in the system to
It's
get
like
to the areas.
overkill.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah, right.
yeah.
To get to the place that it's trying to go, because some is not going to make it, some is going to go here, some going to go there, and so that's why how they measure or how many grams, I mean milligrams that they or cc's that they're going to give you something.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back.
You can hear us
Can you hear
now?
us now?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, Jonathan, what I was talking about is when we opened up the show, you were talking about nanotechnology.
Yes.
And I was pointing out that I watched a video last week in which this lady put Pepsi on a slide under a microscope, and you could see the activity, and she documented the existence of the nanoparticles in that. So all I'm saying is that the technology is something that is being used, and it can be used for good, it can be used for bad. I
Right.
was saying I didn't want to get us censored or anything like that, but there are allegations that nanotechnology was used in the jab juice.
Well, you're talking about nanobots.
Yes.
You're right. This is a whole different other world.
Hmm.
Those are nanoparticles or nanobots that they're injecting or doing what they're doing in that world. And I'll
Hmm.
just leave it at that. In our world, in the wellness world, we're just using the technology to take. Let me give you an example. Just imagine that I drop an aspirin. We'll use an aspirin on your kitchen table, right? I drop it there, it's sitting there, and you can see it, right? Now, if I was to take an aspirin that has been infused or charged with nanotechnology, I'll drop that same aspirin, right? And now it's going to turn into a gazillion pieces of particles, and it's in every room in the house. Whereas the other aspirin that was dropped on the table is just still sitting on the table. You nanosize this aspirin, and now all the particles is in every room in the house. That's what we're doing. We're taking supplements, vitamins and minerals, adaptogens, and infusing them with this technology. So we're breaking them into a gazillion pieces, gazillion particles.
Mhm.
And because they're so small, you can get 100% absorption. And so someone say, well, if I'm getting 100% absorption of these minerals, can I take too many? No, the body knows exactly what to do with natural vitamins, minerals, and the nutritional components to herbs, etc. It absorbs what it needs and it releases what it don't in a non-threatening way, non-toxifying way, right through the waste system. Why? Because it is a food, and it's small enough for the body to handle it. So I had a lady ask me yesterday. She says, "Well, I'm allergic to nickel." And we had, and I kind of chuckled. I said, "Well, nickel is needed by the body." I said, "So what you're allergic to is the synthetic form of nickel. What you're getting here is a nano-sized version of nickel that's not even enough to trigger anything in your body of an allergenic form because within this formulation, uh, there's a whole host of nutrients that actually goes in and cleans up the liver for you." And when we talk about allergies, basically in a nutshell, all we're talking about is the body's inability to process because the liver is congested and dirty. So we have a component to actually clean up the liver with the master cleanser of the body anyway, which is MSM.
Yes. I also want to amplify the importance of those nutrients that we're not getting from food because the soil has been depleted. So
Yeah,
we're
that's a
growing
whole nother
plants.
monster. Yes.
Yeah, you got plants that are growing that don't get what they need from the earth, and then we eat the plants and we don't get what we're supposed to get from the plant because the plant didn't get what it needed to get from the soil.
So Vince, thank you. Let me piggyback off of that for a moment. Okay. This is not new. Okay. We're just getting less dense nutrients in our fruits and vegetables than we did, let's say, 100 years ago. But people still was eating the food. There was more nutrients in the soil, and they were, some schools of thought say they were living longer, some they weren't, whatever the case may be. But this thing that we call old age was still existing. You got older, you broke down, and then we grown accustomed to it, and we grow, and this is a psychosis. I associate with being a certain age, I'm supposed to have certain health constraints. That's programming. That's actually stinking thinking. Just because I'm 80 years old does not mean that I'm expected, or I should have arthritis, or I should have a cancer, or I should have COPD, or any of this madness. Um, because I have another colleague or a client, and he's 80 years old. He just actually did, for his 80th birthday in May, his birthday gift to himself. He did 1,000 push-ups at
Mm.
80. Um, Whenever he goes to the hospital for a checkup, can't find anything wrong with him. Now here's what's about to spin your head. He hasn't drank water in over 8 years. He doesn't eat
Fruit.
meat. He only
Mhm.
eats certain vegetables and fruits.
Fruit. Mhm.
That's it. He's getting his water from his fruit.
Mhm. Mhm.
He's been that way for almost 10 years now. And I may be doing him a disservice by saying 10 years, because I didn't know him back then. But he's strong as an ox, full of vigor and vitality, and he's not eating meat, bread, or any of that stuff. And he's getting his water from his fruit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you listen to
And
Brother
if we want
Yak.
to talk about locations, right? Geographical location, right? Where would you think he would be living at to be able to sustain that? Just off the top of your head.
In
Out
the
this
South,
country, I'm thinking.
Where?
in the South.
In the South, and you say where, Lynn?
Yeah, out this country, I would think.
Well, how about for us to tell you he's right there in Cleveland, Ohio?
Oh,
Mm.
wow.
Yes. He's at he's at the city where the only city in history where the river ever caught on fire. Cleveland, Ohio. So, but the point that I want to get to also is the fact that with this technology now, we're able to assimilate, and I'm taught to say 99%. So I'll say it that way. 99% of the nutritional content that's in this product, we can assimilate it all in one swish. Okay. Uh, why? Because it's been nano sized. See, those nanobots that you're
Mhm.
talking about that they put in the whatever that drink was, um, yeah, that's a whole nother monster. They're actually injecting these little thingies, but they're just small enough in size, and that's why they're called nano or nanobites or whatever they call them. All we're doing here is taking the nutrients and breaking them down into nanoparticles that's 7 nanometers, 6 nanometers, 3 nanometers, so that the cell can grab them, say thank you, and start to regenerate itself. But
But why the switch, John? Explain why the switch. What's going on with that process?
well,
Or what
well, the
that
switch,
type of application?
right? Because it's going through the mucosal lining of the mouth. The nutrients are penetrating. Why? Because they're water. They're these nutrients encapsulated in water, and so just by swishing it, it bypasses your digestive system, and it goes right into start moving right into your cellular activity of the body, of the cellular structure of the body. And this is why pretty much across the board, everybody says, wait, they felt something in their head. And that's because it's leaving the mouth and it's moving through the head and then it begins to move down. Um, Wayne, as well as some of my other colleagues that been doing energy medicine for years, it literally, they can say that it opens up all their energetic channels, and then they're able to even go in deeper, like Dr. Walter Beckley, he says his meditations have gotten deeper because where his meditations typically would leave off, this Sealy product is allowing him to start there and go deeper into his meditation, which means he goes deeper into his own body. So it's almost kind of like when, well, not kind of, but it's like when I learned silver mind control, and we were able to leave our body, and we we're taught how to go into a leaf or another object. Well, this allows you to do this with your own body.
I just got the book, John.
What, silver?
Yeah, Jose Silva. I
Jose
just
Silva.
bought the book 3 days ago. But I gotta back up a little bit. You
Let's go.
said that there's an 80-year-old man in Cleveland who hasn't had water for such a long time. First of all, we need to talk to this brother so we can get a
I'll
testimonial on it.
set Richard up so he can actually come on the show. If I
Okay.
could, I'd call him right now, but I can't do it on. I don't think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm reminded of some information that Brother Yaki is sharing with us about water. You know, he's saying the H2O just passes through your system. He's an advocate for structured water. He
Right.
says you should eat your water in addition to drinking water, and he favors things like coconut water because, again, it's structured water. You're saying that you can actually exist without drinking water. And, you know, we always talk about, well, you can only live so long without air and you can only live so long without water. So talk to us about how it's possible to do that, because we've been ingrained in our head that we got to drink 8-ounce cups of water every day,
Again, you're
drink
talking
a couple
about
of gallons
programming.
and all of that. Go
Yes,
ahead.
you're talking about programming and then feeding the narrative and keeping the narrative going as from whether it's cultural or whether it's social or societal. These are constructs. Okay. Uh, and let me clarify. I'm not saying that. But this is what his journey is. And I don't know if you, Vince, did you ever go to church?
Yes.
Well, on how young are you?
How young am I?
Yeah.
I've been on the planet for 6 decades and 7
Okay.
additional years.
So back 5.5 decades ago, on Sunday morning, September 5th, 19. You missed Sunday school that day. That's all I'm getting at. You missed Sunday school because they taught us this in Sunday school. There's a principle that says, "A man thinketh in his heart, what? So is he."
So, okay.
Yes. As a man thinketh, so is he.
And then we have the books called "As a Man Thinketh, So Is," et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Correct. That principle is universal. That principle is a key for you exercising your divinity. As a man thinketh in his heart. How do you think with your heart? With your feelings. So I'm going to feel a certain. This is why Dr. Joe Dispenza's work is taking over and is really getting out there, and those other guys out there that's working in the quantum field as well. You have to create the feeling in your heart. And then because you are a genie or because you're using your imagination, which if you break the word down, I am a genie, I am imagining what it would look like if I was to experience this feeling I'm feeling in my heart. And then the universe has to respond to that because there's 0 degrees of separation between you and the creator. Now you begin to understand the fact that you are a co-creator. And yes, you've been given free will. So in my ability to exercise my free will, I could feel, think, and experience. Feel, think about it, imagine it, and it'll experience. But what we've done with our power of choice is I'm choosing to hold on to worry. And if I'm choosing to hold on to worry, I can't be free to experience joy. because I'm exercising my divine God-given ability as a co-creator. I'm choosing to walk with anger when I could walk with peace. And then we wonder why we have what we have in our bodies, in our homes, and in our communities. So the problem is not out there. The problem is in here. It's an inside job.
Mm-hmm.
We forgot who we are, whose we are, and the purpose in which we were created. And when you forget those three foundational principles, you're like a leaf. Whichever way the wind blow, there you go.
So let's look at the bigger picture to this. Is this whole thing purposeful? Is this
What's
an
that?
overt plan to take you out of your God consciousness? Of not,
Well, wait. To take you out of it?
yeah, to take you out of. I would say take you out and remove for you not to know those things. The ability to procreate, to understand those principles that you're speaking on, and being able to manifest, certain things. Understanding that what role emotions and fears play on the body. The puppet master is controlling all that kind of
Well,
ideology that you're
well,
talking about.
well, the puppet master could only control what you give it.
Right? I understand. Mm-hmm.
Uh, my mother would say, I don't care what's going on out in the world, but in my house, this is how it's going down.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, you move into a certain level of consciousness where you say, for me and my house, me and my temple, this is how we're going to roll. I don't care what's happening out there. This is this is where I'm taking my divinity, and this is what I'm establishing within me. So
Mm-hmm.
I am beginning to recognize or remember who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because the moment I began to, and all of this out here is set up to keep you on the gerbil's wheel till
That's what
you
I'm
get
talking about.
sick and
Yeah.
tired of being sick
Right.
and tired.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another reason why there's a principle in the Bible that says, count it all joy when you fall into those diverse temptations. Well, whoa, what are you telling me? You mean to tell me when I'm experiencing pain and chaos, I'm supposed to count it joy? Yeah, because now you are experiencing a very awakening process so that you can remember who that you are so you can stand in that position. When I have clients that come in and they say, oh, I was traumatized, I had this trauma, I say, great. They go, what? Great. What are we going to do? We're going to take that trauma and we're going to stand in it and we're going to embrace it, and we're going to embrace it, not judge it. One way or the other, we're going to embrace it with what? The very essence of who we were created in, what? Love. And then something magical begins to happen. That trauma now transcends to a treasure. That trauma now ends up being an empowerment. That trauma now gives you the ability to overstand that type of energy and then begin to call those things to be not as though they were. Why? Because you lived it. Why? Because you overcame it. Why? Because you've been to the mountaintop and you've seen the promised land. No,
Reverend
I'm just
Jonathan, man, it's resonating so deeply with me right now. I'm
well, I'm
just
speaking to
thinking
your
about,
spirit. I'm speaking to your Vince. I'm not being funny, but I'm actually speaking to your spirit. See, we couldn't even have this conversation if that divinity that I'm talking about wasn't already inside of you. All I'm
yeah,
doing is saying I'm connecting with it and I'm saluting that divinity, which is actually strengthening your mental so that you can begin to become more expanded in who you are. That's all the internet
Yeah.
is.
you
The internet.
said there are 0 degrees, and it really stayed with me. You said 0 degrees of separation between you and the creator. That was a very
Mhm.
powerful statement. And I sure hope that folks out there are listening and they're taking note and they're fully realizing the significance of what that means. Powerful statement.
Yeah. You still there, John?
Yeah, I think he may have dipped out for a second. And we
I want
have
to bring D
D
in, huh? Yeah,
in the
that's what.
studio. I want to
Mhm.
bring him into the conversation. So why don't I do that? D, if you can hear us, if you could be situated so that we can have this conversation with you, Jonathan. We got D on standby. He was actually the first one that was in the studio this morning. So
Oh,
I don't want to
wow.
have him waiting much longer.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah. D, I'm bringing you in. Just want to know, you have a testimonial for us that you want to share as we wait for Jonathan to come back.
Yeah, that's my father. I'm just
Oh, that's your
supporting.
father. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that's
I'm
much
just
better. We're
everything
gonna
he telling y'all. I already know. I'm just listening and just to share the conversation and
Mm-hmm.
see what's
okay.
going on. Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's your boy Jonathan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my baby boy. No, actually, he's the
I'm the
oldest.
oldest boy.
He's the oldest. He's the oldest.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
but but this type of wisdom was always taught to him.
yeah.
Even when he was in his mother's womb, I would talk to him. I would say,
Okay.
"Look, you may not understand what I'm saying, but I'm talking to my son. I'm literally planting seeds." My mother used to say, "Boy, don't be asking God for what type of child or what gender child I have." I say, "Wait, you could ask the Creator for whatever you want. I asked for a son, and that's what God gave me, and I'm very very proud of them, all three of them, because I asked for them. They have a specific message on this planet. They have a specific path that they have to take, and in that path and in their life choices, they're waking up to who they are." So
Okay.
as with you and your kids, Lynn, Vince, I don't know, you have children?
I don't.
Yeah. Well, your nephews, your nieces, this is what it's all about, awakening to who we are. And the only way we can begin to wake up is we get sick and tired of what's happening outside of us. And then we go into our subconscious programming and begin. Oh, you know what? I'm glad you said that because I'm going here with this. If I don't understand why something is showing up for me, because nothing is happening to you, everything is happening for you. But if I don't have that understanding so I could overstand that, I'm going to play the role of a victim. And being a victim just irritates me. I've been a victim in some areas, but I had to wake up from it because being a victim is just so disempowering. It's actually a slap in the universe's face because the universe says, or the creator says, I made you an overcomer. The creator said, I given you the power to speak to mountains and have mountains be thou removed. But yet and still, we got indoctrinated and programmed to say, Lord, don't move my mountain. Just give me the strength to climb. What? I was never designed to be a mountain climber. I'm a mountain mover. Why did I resonate or buy into this level of thinking? Oh, I was indoctrinated. So we have to wake up from the programming of, because your whole programming has been set up to cause you to operate less than who you are.
Mm-hmm.
But the
What? Mhm.
conditions that's happening in your life, this is the love of the universe saying, yes, I'm going to allow you to be in your dysfunctionality and create the worlds that you live in until you get sick and tired of it and realize that you created it and you can change it. That's the love from the universe. When there's something in your world that irritates you or frustrates you, it's not out there. You have to ask the question, where is this in me? Where's this energy in hiding inside of me that I'm not aware of, that's manifesting every day in my face like this? Because the moment you ask the question, where is it? Your higher self, the spirit is going to say, it's right here. Oh, you remember that situation that happened 10 years ago? You remember that situation? That energy is right there. It's manifesting itself. That's why I talk about and teach about this particular book here a lot since the 90s. Feelings buried alive never die. They only manifest in the physical diseases or
Mm-hmm.
dis-ease. And a dis-ease does not necessarily mean something physical in my body. A dis-ease is something that's keeping me from experiencing ease.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm mindful of the fact that there's a lot of hating going on right now. You know, when we think about this presidential election, for instance, one of the candidates is very polarizing. And as a result, there are a lot of people that are engaged in harboring these hateful thoughts. And it keeps us stuck in that place. You were talking about that a little bit earlier. We get trapped in these emotions, these negative emotions negative emotions, and the negative emotions are held in the seat of our organs.
Can I address that, please?
Please do.
You called it negative emotions. The word emotion is energy in motion. What you may consider negative, the next man may consider positive. So now let's really look at what we're talking about when we say negative emotion. We only putting a judgment to an energy that doesn't feel good or sound good. So we're calling it negative. Because if it felt good and sound good, we would praise it and worship it. And we would call it good. It's just energy. That's all it is. It's just energy. We put the judgment on top of it, which is going to cause something to materialize in this realm, because that's what this planet is all about. We're in the process of waking up to recognize that we're one with God, and we're co-creators, made in the image and likeness of God. We've been given the ability to call those things. I just remember way back when I was in, oh my God, I probably was like 11, 10 years old, and they kept, and I was indoctrinated with, well, we have to die, and we have to live a certain life so we can go to heaven. But then when I returned 10, I began to study. And there's a principle that says, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that need not be ashamed, but rightly dividing the word of truth. So as I was moving into 11 and 12 years old, I'm studying this, right? And I go, wait. Our job is to manifest heaven on earth.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Why are we being programmed to live a certain way so we can die to go to heaven? No. You're supposed to wake up, snap out of the matrix, just like the story of Christ. When Christ came, when he was into this awareness, he said, now it's time. And they said it, according to what they said, he was 12. Now it's time that I be about my Father's business. Now it's time that I begin to embrace my purpose. Destiny had begun to call him at the age of 12. Next thing you know, you don't hear from him until at 30. So those 18 years, what was he doing? He was perfecting himself to be the perfect manifestation to show us, humanity, how we can transcend all of this level of thinking to master it. And then the final plot was to overcome death. So when I even talk about we don't have to see death, some people look at me crazy and say, wait a minute, why are we dying? Because if I call Wheels, or if I call what's any of those funeral homes in Cleveland, what is my girl Loretta's name? If I call them and say, well, why
Strouder.
did this person die? If I call the morgue,
Strouder.
why did they die? Oh, they died of cancer, they died of high blood pressure, they had a stroke. All of those are diseases. Very few people, and if they do, you still can go deep enough and find that some system in the body malfunctioned. We're at a state right now where God, the universe, the creator is giving us the tools to wake up from the cosmic slop. The cosmic slop that has programmed us to begin to live a life less and disempowering from what we were created to be. So we can put energy to what we're watching in the election. It's just a dog and pony show. What are they doing? What's the divide and conquer? Oh, we got the Democrats, we got the Republicans. Oh, and now we got some independents. Okay, well, which one you gonna cast your energy to? Whichever. The moment you choose one, you done already fed into that energetic field because you've been divided and now you're being conquered. I'm taking my free will and I'm putting that energy over here. I'm riding with Biden. No, we're gonna make America great again. Oh no, we need the Kennedys to come back. No. When you feed the narratives of those thought processes, you literally step outside of who you are and the divinity of who you are, and you're putting your energy towards somebody else's agenda. When if you embrace all of who you are, see it for what it is, you can begin to manifest heaven right here on earth and brighten the corner in which you live. Because that's all you're required to do anyway. Brighten the corner in which you live. Your light comes on, your empowerment kicks in, the next light comes on. Next thing you know, you got the whole community lit up. Lit
Illuminated.
up. No dis-ease, because everybody recognized that there's 0 degrees of separation, and they begin to apply and stand in the wisdom of this principle that says Love thy neighbor as thyself. Well, what's the esoteric application of that? I got to love my man next door to me just like I love me, but I got to love me first. And because I'm loving me at such a deep, deep level, that love is going to overflow. And the overflowing of that love is what everybody else get to participate in. A lot of us are giving from our underflow. We're trying to give our way into some state of divinity or some divine euphoric. No, 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 you can't. You can't give money, you can't give time, you can't give anything. You have to become that. You have to become the love that you're talking about.
Yeah, I think, like I said, most of for what you're saying about listening to me, listen to you. For me, it's our folks and most people don't understand the power of the conscious mind. And I think that's summing up pretty much what we've been talking about too, and coupled with understanding energy. I think a lot of our church going folks don't put those two together. You know, what you feed the body, what you feed the brain. You got that in the beginning of the
You
show
talk
we
about
talked
the power
about.
of the spoken word. God said
Yeah.
in the beginning there was.
Yeah.
God called it, he spoke light in the darkness. He separated the one. There was
Mm-hmm.
the energy coming through God's throat, the power of the spoken
Right,
word.
right. And again, right. And I don't think most of us understand this thing called life at that particular level
Well,
of just like our man did the water experiment. You know what I'm saying? Even by writing something on the water valve and it destroyed the water molecule. I mean, it's real that it's really that deep, on how this esoteric, unseen world
is it deep?
operates.
Is it deep or simple?
Well, it's really simple
Because
because
the way
a
of
lot of
love is simple.
you're right,
It's so simple that a fool couldn't even err from the path.
right. A lot of prophetic writers and thinkers in the past they give it to you plain like that. I think we just made man itself because of their self empowerment, and want to control over people. They made it complicated.
Again, if there's no enemy on the inside, then the one on the outside can't hurt you. So if somebody has power over you, that's because you gave it to them, consciously or unconsciously.
They tricked
There's
you.
not a situation that you can be in where you can be disempowered if you choose not to be.
Now let me ask you a question: Is that the goal of folks who want to control, to take you to do whatever they can to take you out of that?
Again, hey, if there's 0 degrees of separation, Lynn,
Mm-hmm.
there's no them and we. We're all
Mm-hmm.
one.
Yeah.
We're a
Absolutely.
manifestation of each other. So again, if there's a something happening in my environment, I have to be conscious enough to go inside of me and find it and correct it. And see, well, I just can't figure it out. I just can't find out. Well, this is why we were told to be still and know who you are. If I can't see what's actually causing me to keep stumbling, my job is to do one thing and one thing only: be still and know that I am one with the Creator. And if I calm my mind, or if I say peace, be still in my mind, in my body, in the stillness is the wisdom to transcend anything that we're experiencing. I don't care where you are. I don't care what's going on. This is why we get the principle, uh, yea, though I walk through the valley in the shadow of death, I fear no evil. Why? Because I'm choosing not to operate from fear. You can be dropping bombs all around me, but guess what? Because I am one with the Creator and I'm walking in peace, guess what? Bombs will fall all around me and won't disturb me. This is who we are. All of this chaos, this cosmic slop is happening is just a wake-up call. It's just like some babies are born and they're born and so they pop them on the butt. I don't say I agree with it, but then they get them to cry and then oh yeah, well he's normal now. He's here. He's alive and well now because he had to have a wake up call, slap on the butt. Well, if we want to take that principle and apply to this, we getting a slap on the butt. Wake up. If you think the system is out working against you, correct your vision of who you are and how that situation out there, you've given it power to disable you. Disempower you is the word I was actually looking for. Because there's nothing, I don't care what they show you on the, you are a genie. This is why we have the imagination. This is why we have books like Think and Grow Rich. We've been given the tools to wake up to realize that, wait a minute, I'm no longer, well, because you're no longer Forrest Gump. You're now Neo. You're waking up from the matrix. And as you're waking up, you're reclaiming all the power that you were taught to give away.
That's what I was talking. That's my point.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You were taught to give it away.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, when I was a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things and I began to think and operate from that divine place.
Mm-hmm.
But for the record, it has nothing to do with our chronological age. It's the stage of this and its connection with this. But if this is running a program from 1942, 1953, and this feeling is operating on some anger or even love, a house divided against itself can't stand. Do you know how much energy it requires to hold a situation that took place 10, 20 years ago today? Do you know how much energy all those 92.7 trillion cells have to exert to hold that vibrational frequency in your field? In your, and I'm going to make it a little bit more personal. Lynn, remember when you guys brought your dad to see me? You remember that condition he had?
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
Cancer
Yeah, where was it?
and his liver.
And so when we was having a discussion, because your whole family was there, it was like Family Feud in the office, and I made this statement. I believe it was your sister. She says, "My dad is not angry," and I went on to ask your father to go to that place, and everybody was arguing, trying to defend your father's position about him being a good man, a great man. And I'm not saying, I'm not taking any of that away, but you all were looking at dad through the eyes that dad was not an angry man. Dad was not holding on to anything. I remember just like it happened. Your father put his hand up like this, which told all y'all to be quiet. You remember that?
Yeah.
And then he says, 30 years ago, when he was at his job, he was up for promotion. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
They passed him over. He didn't get the promotion. They gave it to somebody else that had a little less melanin in the system than he did. And he never let it go. He never let it go. And that's why we had the manifestation of the cancer, because he was holding on to some resentment. And the scripture teaches us, don't let the sun set on your wrath. Don't go to bed with anger. Don't go to bed with frustration. Don't go to bed with bitterness. Don't go to bed with envy. Don't go to bed with shoulda, woulda, coulda. Because if you go to bed with shoulda, woulda, coulda too many times, you're gonna wake up with diabetes. If you go to bed with anger too long, you're gonna wake up with some form of cancer. If you're still mad at your husband because he divorced you, or you had to divorce him for whatever reason, and you still holding on to his 20 years later, I promise you, you're going to have a tumor over here in his right breast. If you spend all your time working and doing for other people, not nurturing you, not putting you first, but nurturing other people, you promise you're going to have a problem over here in your left breast. If I can't let go of this situation that happened to me, that really mentally hurt me and emotionally hurt me and caused me so much discomfort, is that tumor is going to show up in the brain. If I'm still holding on to that criticism that my father said to me when I was a boy, and then my football coach something and he criticized me. Then I got old enough, I got a job, and then my supervisor criticized me and was disappointing to me. And then I got married and got disappointed again. Oh, I can promise you that you're going to have a problem with one of those kidneys. Holding on to energy versus, are these emotions real that you feel? Absolutely. It's only one thing we really should say when these emotions show up, and that's thank you. Thank you for showing me how I've stepped outside of my alignment with the source of all that I am. Yeah, anger shows up. Thank you, anger. Now let me go back and infuse some love into that situation that made me angry. Well, why do I have to use love? Why do I have to have love towards this situation or that individual? Because love has a frequency to transcend all of that low vibrational frequency. If I want to have peace in my house, but if I don't, I'll just keep feeding anger and holding on to it. I just was with a client yesterday, held on to so much anger from his grandmother and his mother to the point where he says, I'm going to punish you all. And how's he punish him today? He lost all control of his muscle skeletal system and he's locked up like this. And now they have to take care of him. And he's 40 years old. And he's getting off on them taking care of him because that's the only way he felt like he could punish them. Oh, I had just had a conversation with the mother and him yesterday, and he could only look at me because he knew I was telling the truth. So this is why I say, choose you this day whom ye shall serve. Am I going to serve the teacher who's teaching me these powerful lessons to transcend them and judge them? Or am I going to say, thank you for showing me another area of my body or another area of my life where I've been holding on to anger, or I've been holding on to bitterness or grief or unforgiveness? Because I promise you, it's all energy. And if I hold on to an energy so tight and I judge it and criticize it and lock it in, it's going to lock into me. And that's where you're going to get your disease. But that's why I also believe and know that the universe, the creator, God, is giving us products now to say, look, I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to allow you to reboot your system. I'm going to allow you to take something to wipe all the inflammation out of your body so that you can feel good. And in that moment of being able to feel good, you can remember who you are and the power that's been entrusted in you. And then I'm going to change the fabric of my trajectory, and I'm going to begin to now feel and think and create a whole new experience for me. Why? Because yes, I learned that holding on to bitterness is the cause of my arthritis. I've learned that this inflammation around my heart is because I squoze the love out because I allowed situations to take my joy and never replaced it. Lynn, I told you that in that formula, there's a what we call a glycobiological blend. And that blend is made up of a lot of aloe vera, uh, uh, algae, amino acids. And what do they do? They've just found out that inside the 66,000 miles of blood vessels and arteries, there's these little tentacles, like villi. Actually, they still call them, they're called villi. Just like we have the villi in our 26 feet of intestines. Those villi are antennas. They absorb nutrients through the food as it's coming down our digestive system. But they have to be cultivated in such a way that they can know what to take in, what not to take in, and how to keep the integrity of the colon together or the small intestines together. But they also now have discovered that we have these same tentacles inside our arteries, inside our veins. And when they get congested, they can't function properly. And this is why we get the buildup of the cholesterol or plaque, because those villi have not been nourished. We have these same villi around our pituitary gland, our pineal gland. All of these organs have these very hair-like tentacles, and they respond to certain foods and minerals and amino acids. We're able to give them that so that once they're fed, now they can go through the process of breaking up the plaque and dissolving that blockage that's already occurring in the body. It goes into the digestive system and starts to clear that up. But because the digestive system is so jammed up and congested, because we've became and as a result of that, we're constipated. And if you're having less than 2 bowel movements, or if you're eating at least 3 meals a day and having less than 3 bowel movements a day, yes, you're constipated. We've taught this for years.
Mm.
When I become physically constipated, I become mentally stagnated because the poisons are not flowing out. So now my thought processes are stagnated because of the toxicity that I'm holding inside my intestines. Each part of the intestines affect a different part of the body. The transverse colon is what affects the brain. Everything above your shoulders up is affected by your transverse colon. So if I got macaroni and cheese and white flour and Japanese rice and bread, if I have all that sitting in my transverse colon not being processed, it moves throughout my system and it begins to cause a dysresonance or disconnect in my head area. So I have sinuses, I'm snoring, I have sleep in my eyes, cold, eye boogers, the kids call them. I have a lot of wax, I have dandruff, I have irritations or skin pimples and blackheads and whiteheads, because it's poisons that's coming from your transverse colon. But your body is only responding back to you for the harmony that you have with your divine nature. The very disease that you created is actually the medicine for you to take to transcend it, but to show you how you created it so you never do it again. It's called self-mastery. So the diseases that we create are another tool of the magnificent, infinite, dynamic, powerful universe saying, I'm in the midst of all your chaos, I'm still going to show you how you can become empowered through the pain and suffering that you created. Because when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're going to take your free will and you're going to channel that energy in a different place so you can recreate a whole new experience. So that's what we're experiencing, the wake-up call. We just
So you
have a
think
product.
everything you
We
think
just have a
everything is about
product that to
timing?
put you back on, to put you back at even keel. Because if we
Mm,
eliminate the inflammation in your body, guess what? Now you're feeling good. Now you're feeling good. You can think better.
mm,
And now that you can think better, you're gonna make different choices. Some of us.
mm.
Some of us.
Yeah, I don't know, but I look at things as being in timing, and you kind of alluded to that the creator now brought something or provides for you. I guess when you're in a certain kind of level of awakening or consciousness, that that ram in the bush would be there. When the old saying, when you're ready to learn, the teacher will appear. So
Right.
I don't know if everybody, if who's driving and vibing on that particular frequency, but I think that's basically what you're saying. When you're ready, it's there for you.
Well, it's just like Jacob was wrestling with the angel and he asked God, what took you so long to show up?
Mhm.
And I have a sanctified imagination, so I just imagine that conversation going down like this. God, it took you forever to answer my prayer. And God said, Jacob, the moment you thought it, the answer was already there. But because it's an immutable law that I can't go against my own law, so therefore I cannot come in and make you use your power free will to change your dynamics. But your answer was already there the moment you thought it, because we're connected. But you chose to put your energy with worry and fear and doubt and uncertainty without asking the question, without answering the question. And the question is, when there's uncertainty to show up, when there's doubt to show up, because they're there to serve a purpose, what are you here to teach me? Uncertainty will tell you right off the back, I'm here to teach you faith. I'm here to teach you how to walk in knowing that everything is provided for you. Nothing is working against you. When fear shows up, you say thank you. Why? Because fear is only there to teach you or remind you that you're not walking in love. Well, when we begin to study essential oils and we begin to find out that these oils have frequencies and vibrations on it, and I'm really thankful for Dr. Gary Young being one of the forerunners to bring these essential oils out there. When we look at the rose oil, which is the most expensive oil so far on the market, rose has a frequency of all up there 650, 700 frequency. Okay, that's joy, that's love. When you raise the frequencies, like you can't, depression can't show up. Pain can't show up when you enjoy.
Mhm.
So now you have to ask yourself when you're feeling something less than joy, okay, what are you here to teach me? Why am I feeling? Where is this in me that I need to address? And it's only one way that you can address it. And I like what Matt Kahn says, whatever shows up, love it, because it's you. You got to love the conscious side of you, and you got to love the unconscious side of you. You got to love every aspect of you, no matter how other people judged it, no matter how you've been taught to judge yourself. The moment you judge yourself, you have literally put yourself into another entrapment.
So the products that you're working with, let's end on that, uh, and how it's working for other folks and how folks can get a hold to it and try
Well,
it for
at that
themselves,
number they can call.
and also that giveaway that you're talking about.
Yeah, I've actually been seeing people call in already for
Mhm.
that. Yeah, we're going to give you a 3-day sample of the product so that you could actually feel the transformation and the enlightenment that comes with this product. There's no other product on the market like that. This is the only, and I literally can say that this is the only product where you have nanotechnology that's addressing your weight loss issues, your relief, your energy, your sleep, your serenity. Let me just touch on this serenity formula, okay? It's all the herbs in there that support the body and move into a state of serenity. Let me just tell you what's been coming to me from people that have taken it. No more panic attacks, no more anxiety attack, no more depression. In seconds. Squirting it under your mouth, under your mouth, under your tongue, swishing it for 20 seconds, just like this. And actually, these are a month supply, even though they're small. It's a month supply in there. And it's gone. And it's not even enough to swallow because it just moves right through my mucous membrane. Gone. But and that was that was trim I took. Um, I took 9 squirts of this when I first got it. You're only supposed to take 3 to 4, but everybody's different. And I found myself not eating. I'm working with my man Jason here because we want to put this on the market as the intermittent fasting hack. Because you can take this and you can get your intermittent fasting in and you won't ever think about food. Promise you. I literally went from a 38 waist to a 34 waist in less than 4 weeks, or just about 4 weeks. And all I did was added this. Didn't change my diet. Still walked in the morning. That was
Mhm.
it.
So basically, too, I guess for the listeners to understand too that it just all depends, on a person's chemistry dynamics, on what, how long, how quick this thing will work for them or
Well,
something.
what I'm witnessing is that the more chronic or degenerative a person has been, the longer they've been that way, they respond instantly because
Quickly,
they've
right,
been hot
right.
for a long time. So when
Hmm.
this goes in and hit those receptors,
Hmm.
those endocannabinoid receptors, as a matter of fact, for those that call in and they leave their emails, I'm going to send you a 7-minute animated video that's going to explain to you how your endocannabinoidal system work and as it relates to turning off the fire, because that's what it was designed for. I think and I do have some people that's like, oh no, CBD, that's that marijuana plant. No, what you're lacking the knowledge of, and I say that very gingerly, what you're lacking the knowledge of is this. Every green leafy vegetables have cannabinoids. It just so happened that the marijuana plant or the hemp plant, got me simmer, the hemp plant has 30 or more cannabinoids. What are these cannabinoids to do? Well, I shouldn't say the only thing, but the primary function of the cannabinoids is to go in and turn off those receptors that's producing inflammation. That's what they're there for. And so with this company, what we're doing, we're actually growing a hemp plant with no THC so that there's no THC nowhere in any of the product. So for those that associate THC with CBD, and this is the other reason why also people say, well, I took a CBD product and I don't like the way it made me feel, or it didn't really get rid of all my pain. It may have taken it down a notch or two. Well, that's because you took it in the form of an oil, and that's the only way pretty much the market putting it out there. A gummy or capsule or cookie or butter or whatever. It's oil, which means it has to go through your digestive system. Then it has to make its way through the liver. And the liver does about 2,500 functions a day. So its job is to process all of that stuff out. Okay. So the liver is doing its thing. So you will get trace amounts of CBD to get to where it's going. And it may minimize this, numb this down a bit, or it may even stop the seizures. Okay. But when you bring the CBG to the table, which is the mother hormone of all cannabinoids, she's able to go to every receptor site in the body and say, off. Like you call Alexa, on or off. The CBG says off. And then it has another very, very powerful function. It gives you acute mental focus and clarity. That's what CBG does. CBD doesn't do that. It's not going to make. This is why when you smoke or you get all brain fog or just lazy or laid back, that's the CBD. CBG says, not on my watch. I'm going to sharpen this. And with that process, it's getting rid of what's called zombie cells. And zombie cells, the easiest way for me to explain that is this, just like you see the movie The Night of the Walking Dead or The Walking Dead. These are cells that didn't die in the body. They're just moving through the body. And they take a bite out, like you say, take a bite out of crime. They take a bite into another cell, and that other cell now adapts into a zombie cell. And that whole process is what we call aging, or you can associate it or connect it right with the dementia, Alzheimer's, all these different diseases because of these zombie cells. Well, this formula goes in and wipes those cells out and feeds your good cells so that they can regenerate themselves, and also stimulate your body to turn up its ability to cause those telomeres to start to stretch back out. So now it's bringing in and reversing your aging. And if you're not familiar with, I would encourage you all to go on YouTube and look up Dr. David Sinclair. David Sinclair is the leading authoritarian on aging or anti-aging. He put together a protocol, and it cost about $750 a month with all these supplements you have to buy, knowing that you can only simulate maybe 15% because David put the cutting edge, top notch um, products out there, or his research team discovered, and so he pulled all of these together. But it's about $700, $750 to get all of those, and some of you have to mix with cottage cheese and take it to get the effects. Now, if you was to see him, you wouldn't believe his age. So he actually pulled together a protocol, and the base of it has NAD in it. Um, to reverse the biological clock of your mind, and then your body follows. Well, we took his whole protocol and nanosized it down into this formula called Ageless, and we have it in two. This is actually getting rid of wrinkles, but no, we don't have wrinkles and age spots and all that stuff. It's feeding the cells all the peptides it needs to regenerate itself. Now, what's so unique about Dr. Sinclair's work is that it's scientifically proven that, and with these products, for every month that you're taking this protocol, right, you can go to any lab that does your biomarkers. For every month that you're taking this product, actually, you take both of these for that, your biological clock on your organs and glands and tissues are now reversed by 2 months. So for every month, you're turning the clock back 2 months. So just figure that out times a year, and then figure that out times 2 years. And you can go to any lab that does these biological markers and they'll show you, because it's you. The labs have nothing to do with this company at all. These are independent labs and they're all over. And I would challenge you to go and get your biomarkers done today and then get on the two products and watch what happened. I say watch because you will see a change, but before you see it, you will definitely feel it. Um, I also want to put out there because we're seeing miraculous things happen within the first 5 and 10 minutes, but I don't want people to really think that that's the norm because
Right.
people have been
Mhm.
suffering longer than others. People have,
Mhm.
had a lot of chemicals put in their bodies. People have done a lot of acid or heroin in the back in the day. So these products have to get in there and move that stuff out of the way before you can really bounce back. So I'll tell you right now, if you're not willing to walk with this for 30 to 45 days, then don't even call me to get it. Because am I saying you won't experience the transformation? Absolutely you will. But depending on how chronic your situation is, will determine how fast you see a response. So, in other words, it's kind of like, I've been sick for the longest. Yeah, I'll have a faster response. I really don't have anything going on. So, you really won't have a response. But keep in mind, I'm now, for the first time since I was in utero, I'm now able to assimilate 100% nutrients. Last time I done that, I was connected to my mother's umbilical cord. So that's the first time you've been able to absorb 100% of nutrients through this with zero side effects. Why? Because they're nutrients.
Yeah.
All right, Mister Butler. We're gonna wrap up right
I hear a little haterism. What's up?
ain't no haterism, my brother.
Well, I
No,
gotta
but
tell you, Brother
go ahead,
John,
Lex.
you really brought it today. You've given us food for thought, and you've also given us solutions because we can talk about problems
All
all
day
day
long.
long,
All
Yeah,
day
but
long.
where we are now, we got to talk about what we can do to make a
Right,
difference in our own lives.
for
right.
sure.
And with that, on that note, Vince, it's not about other people. It's not about other people. It's about me and my house deciding this is the frequency that I'm going to emanate in the world. But it has to start here. Because
Mhm.
if you do you and you allow that frequency to flow through you, it's going to hit your neighbor. It's going to hit your other neighbor. It's going to hit your family members too. But it's not for you to determine the time that they should wake up. That's
Mm.
never been your responsibility.
Mhm.
Because it's just like the bird flies in every direction, but man has a path that no other man has ever traveled. So I can't look at you and say you should be doing this because I'm only looking at what I'm seeing now. I don't know what you've been through or what you have to go through to get there. All I can do is be a mirror to reflect love, just like Christ when he was, I call him the love principle, when he walked by the man at the pool of Bethesda. This dude been sitting there for 14 years, if I'm not mistaken. Nobody would help him get in the water to get healed when the angels would trouble it, or the angles of light, however you want to look at it. When they hit that water, the water was healing. People got in it, they got well. Well, here come love walking by, and this man said, Master, Master, help me, help me. Being a victim, 14 years. Love looked at the man and asked him a question that required internal reflection. Do you love yourself enough to be made whole? That's how the King James said it. I have a sanctified imagination, so I got my own spin on it. You say that I'm the Christ. You say that I'm love. You say that I'm the vibration of love. And unless you can find me in you, you're going to stay stuck. So if you read that passage of scripture, it says, Jesus said, do you love yourself to be made whole? And the man sat there and say, yea, Lord. Then the next thing you hear him say, and by the way, when you hear the word Lord, it's law, the universal law. Okay, that's for another school of thought. But the law, Lord, is synonymous with law. What law? The universal law that we all have access to. So it says, Jay. So then it said the next thing you know, the man picked up his bed and walked that away. He didn't need to get into what everybody else was getting into to get healed because he connected with the healer within himself. Got that? He
Mm.
connected to the healer within himself. Because God so loved the world, he gave us love. And if we tap into that love, we can transcend all this other nonsense. But until we get sick and tired of it, we're going to keep playing with it. We
Yes.
just happen to create disease now to help expedite the process. Can I find enough love in myself to make sure that I'm going? Can I find or can I tap into the love frequency long enough to change my stinking thinking to the point where I'll change my diet, to the point where I'll change how I show up in the world? Or am I still going to play the role of the victim and say, oh, well, this is what the man is doing. This is what Mr. Charlie's doing. Or this is what our society is doing. Or this is what our president is doing. You make the call. But for me in my house, we've embraced and still embracing, and it's a continuum. I'm not who I was yesterday, and I'm not who I'm going to be tomorrow. Why? Because I'm continuously evolving. There's so much more inside of us. There's infinite potential that we're impregnated with. But if I wake up in the morning and they don't say what infinite possibility is going to show up in my life today to allow me to become even more grounded in who I am, then things will be flying past me like 90 going north. Well, it's 90 going north, right? I forgot I
It's
ain't been on
west.
90 in a long time. It's west, like 90 going west.
Yeah.
It is just past me. But if I live in the question, how is this serving me? Why is this showing up? What infinite possibility can show up where I can begin to transcend what I'm feeling? If I live in the question, the universe is so graceful, God is so loving that it will just say, oh, you want to know? Well, here it is. Here it is, my son. Here it is, my daughter. Here it is. And then you become one with it. But, you know,
Mm.
everybody's at whatever level they're in. My
Mm.
job is just to maintain my frequency
All
and
right.
allow it to
Well,
just expand.
we got the phone number up there for those of you who are interested in that product. Go ahead and write it down. It will be a part of this broadcast that will be posted to YouTube and Facebook, and eventually on Jonathan's
Oh
YouTube
yeah,
channel.
someone just wanted to ask too when you come to Cleveland. That's I got a call on that. Yeah, I'm
Before it get
talking.
cold, before it gets cold,
Okay.
before it gets cold, I promise, because I'm not coming back when it's cold. And to me,
Well,
anything below 60 is cold.
you in California in a place where it's not really that warm all year round. I mean, you don't get the
But
snow the
put it
way
this way,
we
I
get.
can wear a sweater in the winter.
Okay.
That's the
Well,
difference.
All
yeah.
I'm
right.
not. I didn't divorce my snorkel coat.
Mm-hmm. So if you come to Cleveland during the wintertime, you'll really be in trouble because you ain't used to the cold anymore.
Ooh. Man, it's only one or two reasons why you'll see me there in the cold, and I hope none
I
of
hear
those
you.
reasons are coming up soon.
Yeah. All
Well,
right, my
brother
brother. Well, we
John,
appreciate you. Go ahead, Vince.
no, go ahead, bro.
No, I was just
Well,
gonna
hey,
say,
well,
John, we appreciate
hey,
you. That's
Vince,
all.
can I ask Lynn one more question?
Oh Lord, here
Mm-hmm.
we go.
No, serious, Lynn, because
Mm.
you didn't say it. Your brother, Chris, what did you watch Chris experience when he took his swish the other day?
Yeah, but prior to taking it, he felt a little congestion in his throat and his voice and things of that nature, and I think his energy level. So a few minutes, like 4 minutes afterwards, he felt he got an energy burst and he felt his voice coming back with clarity and stuff. So he
And
got
how
up.
long had his boys been that way?
I couldn't tell you exactly how long his voice been there. I don't know if it was that morning, a few days, or whatever. Yeah, it might have been some congestions that he have, periodically. I'm not sure,
And
but
then he got up and started to walk shortly
walk around.
thereafter.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what did he
right.
notice when he started walking? And I'm sure that you
I'm
can
trying to
share that, right?
remember. Yeah, his energy, his energy level. His energy level had increased. He was walking around and he's scientific, so he was trying to figure out what was going on. So he was hoping it wasn't a placebo or something, but he did definitely felt something. Yes. Mhm. And he had no problem with taking it. So he's still analyzing what's going on in his body.
Yeah, I had to make sure he saw the nutritional
Mm-hmm.
content, and I knew his his left brain would resonate with what he saw. That's why he didn't hesitate.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So just to wrap things up, I'd like to give you the saying that I created a few years ago that I use to sign off. And it ties into a lot of what you told us today, Brother John. And that is know yourself, love yourself, and be yourself. That's simple.
I can't touch that with a spoon.
All right. Thank you for joining us today, brother. And we look forward to having further conversations with you. And we want to check back with you and see some of the progress that some of your clients have been
Oh, I was
making
just about
after
to
they've
say,
taken it
I was
for a
just
while.
about to say, I would definitely have them chiming in because right now, like I said, there was only 26,000 people that even knew about this product, and now which is crazy how the universe God is doing this, but I have the fastest growing team in the United States of America, and it's open because I need to get this message and this product out to people that's out there suffering. I have a guy down in Atlanta. He went and gave it to a woman that's in hospice, and 2 days later, she's sitting up, no more morphine, and she's sitting up like, okay, when can I go home?
Yeah.
We're hearing these stories every day,
Yeah.
every day.
Well, you know, there's a lot of sea moss being sold on Facebook because of those 92 minerals in it. But this is something different, but it just underscores the importance of getting nutrients into your body and
Into
the
the
importance of
cells.
them being utilized by your body. Because as you
Exactly.
said before, some of them it's expensive urine, as you put it. It's
Right.
just
And
coming
even
in and it's going out. Yeah.
Right. Even
So.
with our sea moss, we get 92 minerals per tablespoon of sea moss, which is great. I put people on sea moss. And here's what you got to recognize. Most people have been running on empty. So if you put
Mhm.
anything in the body, oh, I'm feeling great now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they go, wait, I'm not getting that lift again. Well, because you can only assimilate so much. And that's going to be the same thing with this. Your body's going to respond. But the difference is not only will the body respond with giving you more energy, allow you to get deeper sleep, you're going to notice that the condition is the body is starting to heal itself rapidly.
Hmm. And when you
Why?
get to
Because it's
that,
being fed into the mitochondria of all 32.7 trillion cells.
mhm, when you get to that point, you may not need 8 hours of sleep every day.
Well, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, yeah. We listening, we taking notes, and we're gonna check back with you in a few and see how that progress that is being made by those who are utilizing the product. We've given you the disclaimer, so as it's part of this broadcast, but
Yes.
trust, try it, you might like it. Thanks for joining us today, Brother John.
And thank you for having me, and thank you for having this platform so that you can be a beacon of light into the community because the people are hungry. And with the content of the information you guys share, you're feeding some aspect of their being. So I salute the divinity in you two for holding it down like that.
All right,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
brother. Appreciate it.
And thank you for Dee and Salisa, who have been in our studio for the entire broadcast. We appreciate your presence and your contribution, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Peace and blessings, everyone. And as always, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Make it a great day, y'all. Peace.
Peace. Peace. All right, brother John.